It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at KSLSports.com/contests. And listen every Thursday to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week. Sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, the Jazz have an early afternoon matchup today at the Pistons.
Pistons are good. Pistons are 5-2 on the season. They're the third-ranked team right now in the Eastern Conference. And this is an interesting matchup. Keontae George, who's been so good defensively and just so good overall this season. I want to see how he does against Cade Cunningham, who is one of the best guards in the NBA.
And bigger than he is.
Much bigger than he is.
Yeah.
So like 6'6".
He's going to have to dig deep a little bit. You know, one thing about these Eastern road trips that I like, Ben, is it kind of gives us an excuse to talk about the Eastern Conference and teams over there that we don't necessarily talk about a ton. And I'm curious where you're at on the Pistons. They didn't really show up at all in our preseason NBA predictions. You and I, neither one of us thought they would be in the conference finals or go into the finals. Where are we at on Detroit and their evolution as a team? I mean, not only Cade, but they've got some other nice pieces, and then they added vets and took a step. How far does that step go?
I didn't love their offseason because I don't know if they necessarily got better other than they got more mature, and then you're betting on their young guys like Jalen Duren to take a step forward. And Jaden Ivey's never really become a guy. He's just always hurt. And, there's kind of some hope that he might become a player, and he just has not. So they are a midseason acquisition away from being a real contender to come out of the Eastern Conference. I do believe that. Now, it's a big acquisition. It's a Lowry, Markkanen level acquisition if they were to go out there and try to make that type of trade.
Toby Harris isn't doing it for you.
He's a good player. He's just not that caliber of player. But they're well coached. I think J.B. Bickerstaff is good at doing what he does, which is taking okay teams and making them better than that. I don't know if he takes them to conference title contender or conference championship, even like the conference or the series to get them there. So I don't know if he's going to get you to the conference finals, but I do think he kind of raises the bar from mediocre to good pretty well. So that's where I think they are still. But again, a nice start to the season. They're not fully healthy, but they're better than some of the rest of these teams. Again, the weird thing about the East right now is Chicago Bulls are the number 1 team in the East. It's like the East is truly a mess.
I like Cade, but he is not my favorite young player.
Okay.
I think he's good, but, I mean, if I had to pick between him and several other players of his generation, I think I might go a different direction. But outside of him, who I do like, I don't love this roster. Ben.
No,
Where
agreed.
are you at on Asar Thompson?
He is definitely the lesser of the two brothers, but he's still good. It is the hard thing if you can't shoot. At what point, what's your ceiling going to be? And he certainly does not have the ball skills that his brother has, where, Amen is playing point guard right now for the Houston Rockets, and Asar doesn't have to do that because they do have Cade Cunningham. But yeah, he's good. He's a good player. He's not an all-star future player, and I guess that's the question: is who is their other young guy who's going to make the leap? Who's gonna be the other guy with Cade Cunningham to kind of give them a big 2 and then fill out the rest of the roster? I don't know if he's on the roster yet.
Well,
Yeah,
it was
I don't
going
know.
to be Fontecchio, but they traded him
They
away.
got rid of Simone.
That was a big loss for them.
Not great.
The one thing Cade doesn't do it well is shoot it. That's kind of the reason I don't know. Paolo Banchero doesn't shoot it all that well either, but I like Paolo better than I like Cade, even though they play different positions. Don't get me wrong.
Again, they are still a big piece away from being taken seriously, in my opinion. And look, they're better than the Jazz tonight. They should beat the Jazz tonight. And I think the Jazz can make this a tough game, but I don't think Tobias Harris can be your third leading scorer. at 13.5 points a game, and you be taken seriously. Good for Asar. He's taken a little bit of a leap forward. He is at 13.3 points per game, and he's at 7 rebounds. He's at 3 assists. Like, he's a very useful player. If he's the 5th guy in your starting lineup, I think you've got a really good team. If you're asking him to do a lot more than that, I think it's going to be difficult. So can you go out and get the Lowry or, whoever the other guy is going to be out there to pair with Cade to make that run?
Maybe the best argument for Detroit and overachieving this year is that the East is really bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Mm-hmm. They're going to play against a lot of bad teams. They're going to be able to get a lot of easy wins. The East is just dreadful.
Yeah, again, the Chicago Bulls are the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference right now at 6-1 to start the season, and they do have some good wins. They beat Milwaukee, they beat Detroit, they beat New York Philly last night. I think they've already beaten the Knicks. Like, they've had a good start to the season as far as beating the who's who of the Eastern Conference, but I don't know what the who's who of the Eastern Conference means. I mean, Orlando's been absolutely awful to start the season as well, and we like them. So what's going to be the next step that puts them in that legitimate company? And then how legitimate do we believe anybody is in the Eastern Conference? I don't know.
Orlando's making weird, strategic. Well, they're trying to go to a high-paced offense, and it doesn't really suit their roster.
Defense is falling off.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Memphis is doing, where they're trying to implement a new concept, but they don't really have a roster that really works with. So I don't know. I find Detroit interesting. As far as the Jazz go, I want to see if the effort level is maintained. I mean, I'm sure Will Hardy doesn't want to yell at his team about effort after every single game, and he did it once after the Phoenix game. Uh-huh. And then they responded, no, against Charlotte.
Yeah.
No. He
did it against both.
He did it against both.
Phoenix and Charlotte.
And then they really responded against Boston. Well, now do you do it again?
Yeah.
And then do you do it again? And if there is reason to be optimistic about Keontae George, is he's brought it in every single game.
Yeah.
That is big reason to be optimistic about that guy.
He is on the radar. That's what's interesting about Keontae now is he's not going to sneak up on anybody. Lowry is scoring 30 points a game, and all of a sudden he was the focus of everything Boston did to try and slow him down, and they had a lot of success, and then Keontae picked up the slack. Now that Lowry's obviously at the top of the scouting report and being taken seriously because he averages 30 points a game, and Keontae's averaging 23 points a game, and you're starting to understand that he's mining free throws. He's averaging 9 free throw attempts a game. Teams are going to start adjusting. So how do you adjust that now? Asar Thompson, who we're talking about, who's a very good defensive player, is probably going to be on one of those two guys and probably going to do a pretty good job of taking them out of it. Can the other person carry it? Can Keontae keep getting to the free throw line? Does Lowry keep getting open looks, which he's leading the league right now? Those are the types of things I'm keeping an eye on tonight.
What is next?
Number 2, Clayton Keller, the captain, wins it for the Mammoth in OT.
Keller in the offensive zone. He has an assist here tonight. Keller on the attack, skates downhill and scores! The captain says goodnight in Buffalo.
Overtimes in hockey are funny. They're either 30 seconds long or or it goes to a shootout. You either score right away in the 3-on-3 or nobody seems to score in these games, and that's certainly what happened last night. The Mammoth gave up a really good opportunity to the Sabres right out of the gate. Vamelka made a great stop. They kept the puck alive, and Keller just drove down. And it was horrendous defensive play from the Sabres because they just let Clayton Keller, as you heard there in the highlights, skate right towards the net and got a good shot on goal and put it in. But a nice win after losing back-to-back games to start this road trip with another victory against a feisty Buffalo team. That was their 5th straight overtime in Buffalo. Pretty brutal.
How did Peterka do in his revenge game? Did he fist fight everybody?
No, but Kesselring almost got into a fight. It got pretty feisty. So we didn't quite see that. But no, it was really the Clayton Keller show. Clayton assisted on the Schmaltz goal. That was the only goal in regulation, and then had the game winner.
He's quite good.
Yeah, Keller's good. And you know what? He's among the young players on the team, or I should say, I guess the faces on the team, those top 6 players on the offensive side. He's maybe been kind of weirdly the most quiet other than Barrett Hayton. You've had big moments from Peterka. You've had big moments from Cooley. You've had big moments from Gunther. Schmaltz had 16 or 17 points, whatever it is. Keller, as good as he is, has been just a little quiet. So I think that was a big moment for him last night.
Now they head across the border to take on the Maple Leafs. I hope they make sure to get all their fruit out of their bag. And I hope they're not taking their pets, because that's a no-no, right?
Can't take your pets to Canada?
Well, crossing the border with any sort of animal. Isn't that not a thing?
Maybe you can get something greenlit. Maybe not.
You can't take fruit and stuff.
Relationships right now are tested.
That's not specifically about Canada. That's like anywhere.
Oh, you can take pets wherever you want. Just fly them around. Just sneak them in. Yeah, next to all your lemons or whatever.
Yeah.
Your invasive fruit.
So anyway.
Tonight against Toronto. So another chance to get a victory. We'll see how they do.
What's next?
Back to the initial college football playoff rankings. Big 12 has 3 teams in there, about what we predicted here on the show.
Surprised nobody's coming in 25, 24, 23. Again, not that those teams matter in the slightest. But are we surprised there's not any love for your Bearcats or Houston, both coming off of a loss, which I think certainly hurt them?
Yeah, because all that matters is when you lose. Nothing else matters
true.
because nobody has a memory.
TCU? I mean, TCU was on a bye week, so they all only watched football last week. The College Football Playoff Committee decided the season began on Saturday, so they watched those games Saturday. They said, well, if you won, we like you.
I'm just convinced that people, more and more as I go forward, I think most people are Guy Pearce in Memento. Just
no memory.
Memory hole something 15 minutes after it happens. Why didn't TCU get ranked? Well, they didn't play this weekend.
Yeah. That's very fair.
You know the season's been going on for several months.
Nope.
I didn't see them.
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me. What? Who?
I think you're right about the committee not being big enough. I actually think that's a good point. Legitimately, it's hard to watch all these teams for just 13 people. It's a lot of games. It's a lot of context that you're looking for and trying to parse out with just 13 people in this committee. But you have the AP poll, which has hundreds of voters, and they represent different blocks of the country and every market. Yeah, probably gives you a reasonable idea of like some fairness. And also it accounts for bias. Inherently, there's going to be bias in our state towards our local teams. But that happens everywhere. When you only have 13, that bias gets weighed more heavily depending on where these people are.
Again, the watch the games argument is funny to me because even if they're not doing it on purpose, to your point, they're not evaluating based on who they think the best team is or actually trying to rank. Coach Witt ranked the 2008 Utes number 1 in the coaches poll, was he really trying to fairly rank the teams or was he just ranking himself number 1? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Silly. I don't know. The poll is silly, but I part of me thinks they put the Big 12 teams there just to move them down.
They have been known in the past to set up talking points with their rankings.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And Utah, I think, is more of a victim of this. I don't think they're setting up Utah to play patsy. I think what they're doing is they are setting up Michigan. They are setting up USC. They are setting up Washington. They are setting up Miami. They are setting up behind the teams behind Utah in the ranking to move up.
To jump them with big wins.
Vanderbilt to climb. Yeah. Georgia Tech to climb. Now, look, if Georgia Tech finishes the season 8-1 or 11-1 and beats Georgia the last week of the season, they've had a better season than Utah and they deserve to be in. I'm not trying to discount some of those aspects, but yes, the Miamis, the Vandys, the Louisvilles, they set those teams up to jump Utah with big wins late.
Utah is the sacrificial lamb.
Which, you know what, is another argument against the Big 12 scheduling Utah and BYU in the middle of the season. If BYU is going to be a good team every year or Utah is going to be a good team every year, they should play late. Play late and let that win have some value late in the season. Whoever goes in is going to get a big victory in the college football playoff committee's perspective. And they value those late in the season.
Man, look at some of the bozos on this committee. Mike Riley, nice man, huge bozo. Mark D'Antonio, yeah, he's killing it. One lady on the college.
Only one. Okay.
Carla Williams.
Who's she?
Let me see. In her 7th year as director of athletics at, I automatically dislike her, the University of Virginia.
Okay.
No, but think about it. Why would you have Virginia's AD in the?
Yeah, that's weird to me.
Why would you have any AD?
Yeah, why would you have somebody who inherently isn't impartial? And she can say she is, but no, what does she watch? What does she see? What does she have to do? She has a responsibility to watch her school specifically.
Oh, man, I've interviewed one of these guys. Ivan Mizell, remember him?
Okay.
He's a reporter.
All right, that's good. Have more of those guys.
Sports writer for decades. I think I interviewed him at a BYU Media Day when they were independent, of course.
Yeah.
But, anywho. Yeah, well, I'm glad you agree with me about the sample size.
Yeah, it's a good point.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. We've got What You Got Wednesday at 11:30. It's Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.